I'm Misty, and as I promised, I have my friend from LA, one of my first friends I made in LA, coming to visit me. And as you can see from our background, we are lucky enough to be in Greenwich today.
Yes, no, this has been amazing for everyone who we haven't met before. I'm Nicole, and yeah, I flew out here just this past week and spent the whole week out here in London with Misty, who moved here about a year ago. And yeah, we were, really great friends in LA. I met Misty. I'm a producer, so that's my background. And I actually cold called Misty and hired her on one of the first shows I ever did as a host. And she was incredible and so much fun. And I was like, I think we actually need to be
We need
friends.
to hang out. We need to go
We
get tacos.
Yeah, we need to get tacos. We've gone to so many fun events in LA, from costume balls to just like crazy award shows.
I told them about Labyrinth of Jareth. Actually, I showed some pictures on that
Uh
first one when I went and you were there too.
yes, so we ran into each other. I'm like, we keep running into each other places. I think we need to make it for real. And yeah, it's just been so cool getting this experience to see Misty's life in London. She's thriving here. I have to say, London is a fantastic city. And in many ways, it beats LA. And I hate to say it because I'm actually from LA.
Which is a really interesting point. So, Nicole is one of the few people in Los Angeles that was born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yes, I'm a born and raised Angeleno, actually, third generation Angeleno. Um, yeah, my parents are both from LA. They met in LA. They're both in the fashion business. And then my brother and I actually were child actors growing up because, not surprisingly, a lot of people in the industry are from LA. Like growing up in LA, you're not too far from the industry. So a lot of kids of not people not even in the industry end up, ooh.
Okay, take two because well, I'm sure I'll leave that in there as a blooper some way. But the wind just blew over the tripod and the camera, and
It
I'm
wouldn't
sure,
it,
yeah,
would, it wouldn't be London if that didn't happen.
the weather, right?
The weather. So, I'm actually from LA, which is kind of rare to meet somebody born and raised in LA. My parents were both born in LA, and my mom actually went to school with Meghan Markle's mom. So they went to high
Oh
school
yeah.
together.
Oh,
True
I didn't
story.
know that.
Yeah, they both went to Fairfax High, I believe. And Megan actually worked at a yogurt shop in the San Fernando Valley, where I'm from. So Humphreys Yogurt, shout out.
As I told you, she's a real Valley girl as well. Not only is she from LA, she's an actual Valley girl.
So if you hear me say like a lot, it's my culture. Okay, you guys?
And everybody loved the Valley in the 80s. Everybody loved the movie Valley Girls. So
Clueless,
be nice.
it's me. So yeah, from LA, I grew up in actually pretty adjacent to where the Kardashian family is from, the Calabasas area. I went to school at Calabasas High. I grew up dabbling in child acting,
Actoring.
acting, child acting, the term that's preferred. I did commercials.
Wait, so yeah, tell them about the commercials. You did I've told me you did a Sara Lee commercial,
I
right?
did a Sara Lee commercial, Ritz crackers. We have a milk board, so I did a got milk campaign that was really big in
You
the
had a little
90s.
milk mustache.
No, but I got to drink all the milk and eat all the cookies and got a huge stomach ache. So yeah, a lot of kids who live in LA, like one of their extracurriculars are, side hustling commercials, or at least in the 90s, it was a little bit easier than it is now, because I think with the influx of like, video submissions, it's like everybody, has access to the same castings. So it's a much bigger pool. But in the
Mm.
90s, it was like, here's the 15 kids that do this thing. So,
And you and your brother did commercials together, right?
yeah,
Your brother's like a year younger than you, right?
old.
Oh yeah.
We got a little
Sorry,
fun thing.
camera.
Yes,
Hair and makeup, please. Thank you.
yeah. So maybe ask that question again.
Oh, so but you and your brother were both child actors doing commercials. You guys got booked together often, right?
Yeah, so we were sort of a package deal
So-
sometimes, but it was a really interesting experience growing up. Really fun. Got to eat a lot of candy on set. But luckily, because I was a commercial actor, those shoots were very short, so I would only miss like 1 or 2 days of school at a time. But a lot of hustling and driving from the Valley to Hollywood after
Mm.
school. It was just like another thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting. you know.
And that got you into SAG, right? So now
It,
you're in SAG technically.
yes, SAG actor, union protections, which is very rare right now in the United States. I actually have a pension, which is like something nobody my age can really say anymore. So,
Yeah, well, I've talked about that with him a lot. Oh, my hair. It is a little windy, but anyway,
hmm
that yeah, in the States pensions are really a thing of the past.
hmm
Only really if you're in a union do you get pensions, and unions almost exclusively cover like manual labor jobs at this point, the
right,
ones that are left. There's
exactly,
very few other unions left anymore, sadly.
exactly. So, yeah, child acting is child
I
acting. I
love
keep
it. I
saying
love it.
being a
Very
child actor
Victorian.
is not a hard labor job. I put in my, 12 years or so. I started when I was 2 and I ended around high school. So I've lived a lot of lives. I've had a lot of different jobs, which is not, unusual for living in LA. I think people kind of zigzag a lot to really find what they like, but LA is great. There's so many different industries besides entertainment and
I've always wondered, since you were born and raised there,
mhm,
how often people must just come and go. Like people might be there 10, 10, 15 years, like someone like myself. And
mhm.
was that the same when you were a child, or is that really like once you get into the working age, just because people come out there for work and then go back and forth?
Yeah, no, I think when I was a kid, I lived kind of far flung out from the city center. So I lived in the suburbs. So a lot of professional families, like lawyers, doctors, lived out in Agora Hills, Calabasas. So they were settled. They had their roots in. And now I sort of feel that way where I live. I live near Dodger Stadium, that East Los Angeles
She's a
area.
big Dodgers fan, by the way.
Huge Dodger fan. So, you know, we've had some good years and it's been really fun having my kid grow up with a winning Dodger team, which was not my experience growing up, but I won't bore you guys. Yeah, so I feel like post COVID, there's been a lot more exits than,
Entrance.
entrances, and that, the stats back that up. More people are leaving California more than ever.
Yeah.
Just, it's so cost prohibitive. It's such a financially tough place to, even be
Survive.
comfortable. Yeah, to
Yeah.
survive. And like, I've been very fortunate to be able to settle in our favorite neighborhood on our favorite street. So, yeah, just really, still very happy living in LA. But man, London, you're tempting me.
Yeah. So, like, I think the thing that a lot of people have misconceptions about when it comes to LA is one, yeah,
Your
you.
hair.
Oh, it's okay. I don't even care. The cost of living, like, yeah, you get the higher salaries, but it really equals out. But on the flip side, as someone from, the fact that you're born and raised in California and you haven't lived in another state, really, like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, you haven't had to do that, like, fortunately, but going to Kentucky or going from Kentucky to a place like California, yeah, it is far more expensive. But the same reason people go to New York is you're paying for the right to have rights.
Yep, for the right to have rights, for the right to get those higher salaries and cost of living salaries that Los
Workers'
Angeles
protections too.
workers protections. Yeah, you see more of that in California than our other states. Our resources are amazing in Los Angeles. Our libraries are great. We have a lot of public transportation as well, and it's getting better. But unlike London, LA can feel very unsafe, especially if you're riding the metro alone at night. Our bus system is not as efficient as London, so there's definitely trade-offs. As you've probably heard, LA is car obligate. You can't live without a car there.
It's a really good way to put it, car obligate. I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
thought
car
about that.
obligate. It's not optional. So yeah, you're definitely bound to car culture, and you could be in gridlock for hours. So what I really appreciate, especially this past week in London, is how easy it is to hop on the tube and be wherever you need to be. Especially if you live very central, it's just been just an incredible experience. Seeing how easy it is to just be able to meet up with a friend and go to the pub in the middle of the day. It's just like
Yeah, you're never more than a few blocks of your final location
yeah.
when you get off any of the transit here, which is so different. Like LA is pretty difficult to compare for public transit since it like did urban sprawl so large, and to fill
hmm
those gaps now is more difficult. So even if you do take public transit, I feel like you get dropped off maybe like 4 miles of where you were trying to get by the end of it, but that's
hmm
kind of the end of the line of where the transportation goes,
Yeah.
especially once you get to the outer parts of the county.
Yeah. So like think about LA, it's like there are walkable neighborhoods and feel lucky to be in a very walkable neighborhood. So if you want to walk, just live in a walkable neighborhood where you're close to where you want to be. Like, don't live far from work if you happen to find yourself in LA. Just be as close as possible, or be remote, which is great. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So you've been here almost a week now.
Hmm.
And you've been to London, but only for like a day or two at a time. So this is the first time you're like really sinking into the everyday life, kind of seeing what it's like. What has been something that has surprised you about being here multiple days, where not just hop, skip, and jumping over, but like
Yeah.
actually getting to experience?
I mean, just the quality of fun stuff you can do for free in London is staggering. We went to the portrait gallery, the National Portrait Gallery, and it was such an incredible, high quality, entertaining, and engaging experience. And we just saw some gorgeous work, modern and classical, just things I never thought I would see in person, and it was all free. So there's just endless amounts of fun and interesting things to do for free, which, we actually severely lack in the States. I think that we don't invest enough in our culture and our arts. And it's a shame because we have so many wonderful museums, but people don't go and experience them because it can be cost prohibitive to take out a family. So I
Mm.
really love the focus on culture and enriching young people. Toddlers are really well behaved here, especially because they're just used to it. It's a part of life. And I say that as a young mom who has a kid who's not that used to, being amongst, really wonderful museums. I think kids here are really well behaved
Yeah.
from what I've seen. Yeah.
And yeah, you do see people with their kids, no matter how, even prams and
Hmm.
strollers you see on the tube.
Yeah, the toddlers know how to get on and off a train. They know how to queue and wait in line.
They
I
love queuing here. That is
Yeah,
like the first skill they learn when they walk.
exactly. So, I mean, I'm not saying all British children are wonderfully behaved and all kids who grow up in London are,
I'm sure
magnificent.
there's some kids, naughty boys out there,
There's
some
some
naughty
there's
kids.
some naughty kids, but by and large, I've seen some really adorable, cute, well-behaved, sweet kids here. So it's
Yeah.
just been awesome to see how the parents, thrive and navigate London with their strollers, and it's super family friendly and a lot of great free stuff.
Yeah, the free museums, because what the average museum cost in LA would be, I would say 35,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some 25 a ticket per
Mm-hmm.
person. And they don't do membership. You can be like a
A LACMA
yeah,
member, a member of the Academy Museum.
but it gets you a discount more than it lets you come in
Mm-hmm.
continuously as much as you want. Whereas here, if you buy like the Heritage
Yeah,
membership or the Royal Palace membership, all those you get to come in for basically free. And if something's not listed on that, then you get a discount for the English Heritage one, because I just got both of those. It was very exciting. But there is free museum day in LA. But as you can imagine, with like the prices, that free
mm-hmm.
museum day is not necessarily the most enjoyable experience
Yeah.
because it's
It's like on
packed.
a Tuesday too. I wish there was more free stuff in LA. I think that, especially London, you guys have a lot of really fun things you could do for cheaper or free. Even the Uber boat was such a fun experience, and that's like literally just how you get over to Greenwich, where we are right now. Just jump on the Uber boat. It's £11. Unbelievable. And you go by London Bridge and you go by Parliament and you see Big Ben. And it's so exciting to be on the boat and pass all these things you just, see when you watch New Year's Eve. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just so cool.
Because this is we're in Greenwich right now, and what happened in Greenwich? I told you like 1,000 times
Oh,
because I'm a
it's
dork.
the beginning of time.
It is the beginning of time.
And I bought a watch here and it's very special.
She did. She got a watch at the Greenwich Market, which I said, is very fitting because this is where time began. This
Mm-hmm.
is zero on yeah, longitude. Yeah, not
Yes.
latitude. I was like longitude, latitude.
Yes,
Nope.
longitude.
Yeah,
So yeah, whenever you hear GMT, you think of Greenwich and you think of Greenwich Mean Time. We're right here.
and I remember it by calling it greeny meany time.
Greeny Meany Time. Yep.
That's how I programmed it because I was like, Grand Mountain time. Nope, not
Nope.
Grand Mountain. Greeny meany. It's a
Greeny
greeny meany time.
Meany.
And we're at the Naval Academy, which we walked into the painted, what is it called? Dang, the painted room. We went in there. It was gorgeous,
Yeah, the ceiling was
stunning.
absolutely incredible. The chapel just stunning.
The colors, the
Yeah.
blue in the chapel.
If you come here and
Oh,
you miss that,
guest star of a sequel just won the third G.
Yes. So definitely don't miss the Naval Academy when you come to Greenwich, because you might think, "Oh, I've seen a Naval Academy. I know what this is going to be." It Trust me, it exceeds all expectations. So
Yeah, this is the Naval Academy.
it is
And
the
so when we went to Hampton Court, that was kind of your first day one. You flew in
Mhm.
early Monday morning
Mhm.
and didn't sleep on the plane or anything. So
No.
we didn't go too hard that day. We just walked around. But the first full day we went to Hampton Court, and the garden's stunning.
Yeah.
But you got to see some of the paintings from history books that you've
Mhm.
seen a million times in books, but
Yeah.
to see them in real life.
Exactly. All the portraits of Henry VIII's wives, Henry VIII, just absolutely stunning. I never thought I would see these portraits anywhere, and they just kind of jump out at you and surprise you. So, yeah, loved Hampton Court. My mother in law, who has been to England many times, hasn't been out to Hampton Court. So, I'm going to strongly recommend she checks that out next time she's in London, because it's a really close tube
33
ride.
minutes from Vauxhall Station, or
Yep, Vauxhall.
Vauxhall
Yeah,
Station.
yeah, it was super close. It was really beautiful. Couldn't be a friendlier place to bring a family. There's actually a playground there, so if you got kids or grandkids, it's great. Just a lovely day in the park or
Little
garden.
slides that look like dragons.
Yeah, it was
Great
so cute.
cafe, two cafes.
Yeah, two cafes. It was so great, and the food was amazing.
It was really, actually, really, really good. Well, we were talking about that too, like with the Uber boat,
Mm-hmm.
places where you're trapped and you only have one option to get a meal there. In
Mm-hmm.
the States, they use that as an opportunity to charge you $25 for a bottle of water.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I call it like your captive audience. So if
mhm.
you're at the zoo, a popcorn is like literally $8, which I guess would be like, I don't know, 7 pounds, six
Like
pounds,
6 pounds,
like
yeah.
6 pounds. Like that's kind of pricey for just like a popcorn. But here it's like much more family friendly pricing. They want you to stay and enjoy and eat your lunch. It's not like they're trying to gouge you at every corner. So I
Yeah.
do appreciate that about London. And I know London is a much more expensive area than
Yeah,
other
it's
parts.
like when I went out to Yorkshire, you can like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, London is pricey because coming from LA, it is still cheaper than LA, especially when it comes to going out and doing things,
Mm-hmm.
going to events. We
Get my
went to,
drink.
yeah, excuse me, same thing. Especially going into the West End. We went and saw My Neighbor Totoro last night, and tonight we're seeing Oh Mary. Excuse me, my throat is also dry from all the wind.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, the tickets were so reasonable. It was only about starting at £30. You can grab a ticket to a West End show, and there's deals to be had, especially compared to LA or New York. Your theater is such high production values. The same exact productions you'll see in New York, you can see on the West End. And it's so exciting. You guys get some of the most exciting productions first, and they eventually transfer to Broadway, like your Cabaret, like Six. It all started here in London. So, yeah.
And when we went to see My Neighbor Totoro last night, we got the playbill. We didn't know that that was the theater where Cats actually began,
So,
which is so
Cats.
cool to see the history in that.
Yeah, it was so interesting. We had so much fun seeing My Neighbor Totoro, and it's here through August. So if you're in town, definitely don't
Highly
miss
recommend.
My Neighbor Totoro, because it was obviously very distinctly British and Japanese, and it was like a wonderful.
The puppetry was, it was so simple yet so visually captivating.
Yes, it was just like don't miss it. Everything was just operating on the highest level.
And this is coming from a little theater kid.
Yeah, I'm such a theater dork. Obviously, growing up in LA, I did community theater, and it just made me want to cry the whole time. Like I felt like I was about to burst into tears
I
the
did.
whole
I
time.
did. I was over here crying the whole time.
Yeah, especially if you have kids in your life, like it's such a magical show. But if you don't, and you're just a big kid, or you just like having fun and seeing incredible puppets.
Okay, so back to Los Angeles a little bit because I
Sure.
think obviously most of my audience is British, so I think there are a lot of stereotypes of LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been asked this too. People are like, "Oh, but everyone's fake. No one's really your friend." Blah blah. I think
Mm-hmm.
everyone says it about every major city, honestly, because
Yeah.
you kind of hear that. British people have also said the same thing about London. I think that's any city where you have people coming in and out, and especially if you have to like hustle and grind and work for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
there's just like a different type of pressure. But I always bounce back at that when people say that about LA because I don't feel that was my experience in LA at all. Obviously, like I met you, we've been friends for Whoa, like 15 years.
Yeah, 15
Yeah.
years. We met in about 2011, 2012, or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, there are some incredible people from LA. And I think it just takes time to find your people, which can be hard when you first move to LA and you haven't quite met the right people because of car culture, namely. It's really hard like if your
You're
friend
not
lives.
casually hanging out and just talking. You're not
Yeah.
running into someone at the pub. Everyone's basically in a hermetically sealed car alone, driving
Mhm.
somewhere for hours every day.
Yeah, and if you live on the opposite side of town, it limits your dating, radius on the apps if that's what you're doing. But yeah, it's I have been really lucky to find some wonderful people, even as an adult, like meeting friends at the gym, and just there's it takes time to know like who are your people, but once you find them, like people hang on to their friends, which I really really enjoy.
And I've explained to them before about LA that I think also the pressure there specifically is most people are freelance.
Hmm.
I would say out of
A lot of people.
yeah, out of most cities, it has the most amount of people that are freelance due to working in production in some way or another. That being like the coal mine of the town.
Hmm.
And so you're constantly, I think what people take as being fake is actually how you just have to sell yourself as a business is kind of how it's not intentionally trying to be fake. You just kind of
Hmm.
have to be your own billboard
Yeah,
in a
absolutely,
way.
absolutely. And a lot of people joke that the first thing people ask at the party, not it's not, "Hey, what's your name?" It's, "Hi, what do you do? Like, can you help me?" Like, no, there not everyone is like that, but some people will, you know, maybe forget like their social niceties
And I
and
think
try to kind of social mind like, can this person help me? Do they work at Netflix?
there is that level, but I think also because in America in general, really any town you live in, the first thing people ask you is what you do for a living
Hmm.
because work is your life in
Yeah,
the states because your insurance being tied to it, your whole thing,
so true.
your existence in a way is tied to your job. So that's why I think also plays into why people ask people are
Yeah.
open with what their job or career is. Whereas here, I don't feel like it comes up nearly as much. I mean, there's people I've met that don't even know what their jobs are.
No, for sure. And I think it's also like tied to work culture. A lot of people treat work as their identity. And, for better or worse, that's kind of, I'm not going to judge it because people really care about what they do. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who are, you know, incredible professionals, just by the, nature of the kind of friends I have. But your work is not your identity, but we unfortunately live to work because we have such few vacation days. My ability to come out here and visit London is amazing because I do work for myself. So
She does.
yeah, I feel so lucky, but at the same time, you
But it
gotta
took
hustle.
years of working and getting to that point where you were able to completely be self-sustaining working for yourself and
Hmm.
a lifetime of networking and
It's so true, and
yeah.
just it's a bit of luck and it's a lot of hustle. So
Hmm.
yeah, feel so fortunate to be able to come here and take it all in and stare at paintings. It's a privilege.
I'm trying to get her to come out at least once a year.
Once a year, it's so we can meet up again in a year, and I can come back with more reflections for you guys.
And what did you say when we so we went into Trafalgar Tavern after doing the museums here and I got a glass of wine and I was like, "Well, let's walk over here to the Green Park spot and we'll record here because I mean, how can we not have this backdrop, right?" And what did you ask?
I'm like, are we allowed to do this? Can we have our beverages out here on the grass?
It is something it is so triggering as an American. You're like, "Are you sure I won't get in trouble because you can only drink in public in Vegas or New Orleans?"
Yeah,
And
we have what's called open container laws, and that's a fancy way of saying you can't drink anywhere fun.
yeah, you're not allowed to drink anywhere fun because why shouldn't you be able to have a lovely glass of wine and look at this beautiful view?
Yeah.
You
So
know,
yeah, we
isn't
have a
that
lot
fair?
of laws, and I understand why they exist, but
Puritans.
Puritans and
Actually, it is Puritans because good. No, Kentucky has a lot of. Have you heard of the blue laws? So this is
yes,
we've talked about this like state to state. Most only in the South do you really experience blue laws
hmm
still, but they're completely dry
yeah,
counties
you
because
can't.
Protestants didn't believe in drinking.
Yeah, you can't buy alcohol at certain stores like markets. You can only buy them at liquor stores and only in certain hours. So California is not that way, but you
California's the promised land of America.
yeah, but you can't like just take a bottle of wine out to the park or hiking. And
Yeah,
people do, but
you have to smuggle it
yeah, you could smuggle it, be discreet, but you could get ticketed. So I was just like flabbergasted. We could sit here in front of the Naval building and just
with a piece of glass.
with a piece of glass and a wine and be trusted to be a big person and bring it back to the bar when you're done. So
it's like they think we're adults.
It's
They
crazy.
don't know we're not
It's
adults.
crazy how, adult everyone can be when a culture really puts trust in their citizens. So,
I mean, when you expect common sense of your
mhm.
citizens, and that's I think that,
And I'm
that
not talking down on America. It's
no,
just
no, I think most Americans do have common sense. We're just not trusted with it or given the opportunity,
mhm.
or it just seems like a ticket is a way to make the local government money more than they're actually concerned about the drinking part.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
true.
There's probably a couple factors in that,
Yeah.
but the staircases that go down to the Thames, when you saw
Yeah,
those,
that
you were
was
surprised.
amazing. Yeah, I was so surprised when I saw the staircases just going down to the Thames because I thought, well, someone can just like wander down here and just go for a swim. In America, you'd have like a rope or a stanchion in front of it because we're such a litigious country. Like people sue for anything. Like the wind blows the wrong way. There's a lawsuit, there's a lawyer involved. So, yeah, there's just a lot more caution in public. So, slippery signs on the floor everywhere, even if you just mopped. There's so much red tape and precautionary measures. I was just so shocked that like you could just walk right into the
Walk right in the Thames if you
walk
want to
right into
go
the
for a little
Thames
swim.
if you had
Wouldn't
a bad
recommend,
day
but
or you want to
yeah,
go for a swim. So,
go into a cold dip,
hmm
very cold dip.
cold plunge. It's so popular right now.
It's so hot right now.
It's so hot. Yeah, no, London's amazing. Yeah, it's just
Even
one of.
going, oh, say even when we're in Hampton Court, like there's some velvet ropes around, but they
Hmm.
really do trust people. Like, don't touch this. You shouldn't have to be told not to touch
Hmm.
this. But when you see stuff like that in the States, it's protected behind all this glass and rope to the point you can't even see anything. You definitely
Hmm.
can't get a picture because it's glaring from the plastic that's covering it, and it'll be a ruler from 1922.
Yeah,
It's not even something that fascinating, but
yeah. Our museums just don't hold a candle to what I've seen. Just you know,
they
wandering the past few days.
they've had a few like centuries to collect here, so it's a little unfair advantage.
It's really unfair. It's just like an embarrassment of riches. Like when you just walk into these museums.
But they
Just
are nice enough to loan it to museums in America sometimes
yes, we
to get
went
some
to the
traveling pieces.
yes, we went to the Tate Britain yesterday too. I keep
Beautiful.
forgetting about that. That was just unbelievable.
And the damage on the building from the Blitz,
Hmm.
seeing that in person and seeing like the older brick buildings where they've been repaired, and I do you think like the fact that they live with the visual reminders of what World War II and various wars throughout their whole history affected them has changed the way they like. I feel like there's more community
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
There's more of like a
definitely.
social, like we're in this together feeling.
Yeah, there's visual reminders of war and history and sacrifice every day, and we don't have that in the same way. Um, yeah, when you live with that and you're so aware of the history and the significance of war, I think you're less likely to invoke it and
Yeah.
to treat it so lightly. No,
Yeah.
no shade.
Yeah, no, to be so flippant
Hmm.
about it, like it's real,
It's
it's like,
very real.
and not that those things clearly happen in the States, but our Civil War took place on a grassy field, which is still just a grassy field, so you
Hmm.
don't see the visual
Yeah,
reminder.
unless you live in Virginia where the Civil War was fought, or you know.
Yeah, but a lot of those things they oh, there we go again.
And on that note,
Okay, the wind took out that again, so
so what were we talking about? Oh yes,
now you understand why they talk about the weather here all the time.
you,
It's mild yet attacking.
yeah. If you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. And
You get to actually experience that this week. Like it is not an exaggeration, the weather, and they love talking about the weather, and I get it because it is a different topic every hour on the hour.
on the hour, it's sunny, it's breezy, it's blowy. I didn't know.
Learning
I didn't know blowy.
instead of windy. That's been a fun one to catch on to, that it's blowy. It's a bit blowy.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. I love London. I seriously want to come back every year. There's so much to see, so much to do, so much to love, and 5 days is not enough. So I'm so excited to come back.
And back to the food part before we
Oh
go,
yeah, we
like
have to talk about the food.
yeah, so she was vegan for years. She's a pescatarian now. I People are surprised when I tell them that it's easier to be vegetarian here than in California, because California is the easiest state, I would say, in the states
Yeah,
To be California, to be a vegetarian, but here it is insanely
yeah.
easy.
The quality of vegetarian food and the like quantity and availability of it. It's so normalized. I feel like California, like you would assume it would have vegan options on every corner.
We are by the ocean,
We
or
are by the
by
ocean.
the river.
So in California, I know you would assume there's vegan options on every corner, but things I think are swinging back in the other direction. So there's less and less vegetarian stuff. Vegetarian restaurants, vegan restaurants are closing by the dozens in LA just because there is no like dedicated market to it. I think people are, less vegan these days in LA. So, um,
And we went to the supermarket, all the vegetarian
mhm.
options there. The vegetarian steak, I still haven't gotten it yet. I really want to try it,
Yeah.
but
So
I'm curious.
if you have any vegan or vegetarian friends, just tell them to rest assured there's something for everyone. The food quality is incredible. Just like in Japan, if you've ever traveled there, the food options in London are just amazing. Like, it's not which restaurant should we go to, like almost any restaurant you're going to
It's how
have.
many can I eat?
Yeah, how many can I eat? The pastries in London have just blown me away. They're so beautiful. They're in every shop window. It's embarrassing how much delicious food you guys have.
We have to break that stereotype. I don't, or you know what? Also, I kind of don't want everyone to know and come take our snacks
No,
because these snacks are really good. Don't come take my
your
pastries.
snacks, your pastries, your chocolates, like
Coffee.
gummies, just everything is so yummy.
Coffee's always
The
delicious.
coffee, the espresso drinks, just London is a food city. So
Hmm.
yeah, go check it out.
Well, thanks for sitting in the grass with me and in this blowy weather.
Thank you for having
Of
me. I
course.
love
Don't
that.
go home tomorrow. Stay
I
with
don't
me.
want to. I love the Tudor Yank community, and
They
thank
are amazing.
I
I brag about you guys to her all the time how just so kind and welcoming everyone's been to me as a new person in a new country.
yeah, you guys are like one of the nicest communities on the internet.
I
So
show her your comments.
yeah, so I've been watching and loving and excited to see you guys again when I come back, and then I'll see you guys in the comments until then.
And I will show her the comments. So
Be
be
nice.
be nice, or but if you pick on her, do it in the loving British way where you pick on me too, and that just means you like us. But um let me know what you thought of this in the comments. Let me know how funny it was watching my phone camera blow off
And if you
the
don't
tripod multiple times.
and if you don't subscribe, hit that subscribe button.
Do that little like, thumbs up, all that. But I think we have to get into another pub before we go to our last show. So we better get off here. And it looks like it might be a little rainy.
Woo, we
So we
better
better
get out of
go.
here.
Bye.
Bye.